So what's going on, everybody? I'd like to welcome you all back to the classroom. Let's go ahead and take care of the business. Again, my goal is to have 20,000 subscribers by the end of 2022. My wife tells me I'm crazy, but it ain't the first time she's told me. I want you guys to go like, subscribe, turn on that notification bell so that when I post some new content, you guys are notified and you can engage with me. Now that we got that out of the way. So here recently, I've been getting a tremendous amount of flack from people who I think know me. Now, that's sometimes the part that hurts a little bit because it's like, y'all know me. But they're saying, George, you're the most hateful and judgmental Christian I've ever seen. I'm like, well, goodness gracious. That's a harsh judgment, right? But so what? Like, here's the thing. We have to begin to understand the principles of the Bible. We have to begin to understand that, hey, we can't just live any old way. It's not saying that you can't have a struggle. I have a struggle. I fight and contend with it daily. Before I was married, I fought and contended with it. Now that I'm married, I fight and contend with it. If God could just remove it, that would make this walk so much easier on me. But this walk was not made to be easy. It was made to purify us. Purification is a tough process. Denying yourself is a tough process. So we're going to use a sports analogy. Sports analogies work. So let's utilize one. And then I'll do a depiction here on the board of kind of what I'm talking about. So let's imagine you play sports. And you make the team because you're a talented athlete. And your coach knows you're talented. Your teammates know you're talented. But what they begin to realize is that you just don't buy into the team system, into the coach's way. And in the beginning, the coach is always on you. He's like, hey, George, you got to get your head on tight. We need you at practice on time. When you're at practice, we need your shirt tucked in. We need you hustling. We need you playing hard. Because the energy that you bring is going to make the other guys perform better. And I just keep doing the same thing over and over because I'm hard-headed and because I think that I'm good enough to get by with it. And as time progresses, the coach no longer corrects me. Still showing up late, still being lazy at practice, still pulling my teammates down, but the coach no longer corrects me. We're winning games and the other players are able to develop, not at the rate in which the coach would necessarily like, but I'm not killing the team. I'm only killing myself. And the coach just allows me to stay on the team and struggle through the pride and things that I'm struggling through. And I start to look at my players and I'm like, hey, bro, coach don't be on me no more like he used to, man. Like, we ain't got to show up on time. And that continues for a few weeks. And then somebody finally grabs me. One of my other teammates, they grab me and they say, G, coach don't correct you no more, bro, because he know that you ain't going to listen. And he know that you're a lost cause. And he's going to use the talent that you have right now because it's helping us win. But there's going to come a day when a college scout is going to come and ask coach about you. And he's going to have to tell them the truth, bro, that you're lazy, that you're not coachable, that you don't make your teammates better. So coach ain't stopped talking to you because he's allowing you to get away with it. He stopped talking to you because he's giving you up to yourself, because you're going to hang yourself with your own devices. And the fact that you look at that and you think that it's something good, that you've somehow gotten away with responsibility or accountability, bro, that shows that you really are a lost cause. And it's time for you to grow up, G, because you killing yourself, man. That right there is going to hit me harder than anything I've ever heard. And we do the exact same thing with God. In the beginning, when we start sinning, we feel bad about it. And we want to hide ourselves from God. Just like Adam and Eve did in the Garden of Eden. You do something you know you're not supposed to do and you want to hide yourself initially. But after a while, you do it and you realize that God don't even come looking for you no more. because he's given you up to your own devices. He's allowed the power of sin to overtake your life and to control your habits. And you think you good. So you want to start talking to other people and saying, hey, bro, like we can go do this. Ain't nothing bad going to happen. Yeah, ain't nothing bad going to happen to you because God has given you up to your own devices. Discipline and correction and truth are ways that you can always know God still cares and the people around you still love you and they have hope for your future. But when people no longer want to discipline you, when people no longer want to correct you, what they're essentially saying is, oh man, he gonna be what he gonna be. And that's not a good thing. But in our culture today, in the generation that we live in, we believe that because God has no longer corrected the sinful acts that we're committing against him, a God who is holy, then somehow we've managed to get to a space where, oh, God doesn't disapprove anymore. But that's a lie. So when we talk about sexual struggles, and that's predominantly where I talk, because that's where I have been in my life. My sexual identity has always been in question. I've always felt like I should have a few women. I've always felt like I should be having sex with at least 2 or 3 or 4 women. I feel better that way. I feel more like a man that way. But what I feel is wrong. And it can be proven wrong through scriptures. And if I really take a look at my life, it's proven wrong in my own conscience. Because something in me tells me that I need to slow down. And it's no different from any of us. And if you don't feel it in your conscience, that means that God has given you up to your own devices. Now let's talk about sexual sin and perversion. So this is the illustration, right? So let's say that a doctor gives 5 people a prescription, right? So the doctor, he prescribes a medication, right? And he gives that medication to 5 different people. So the first person the doctor gives it to is, he has a symptom of laughter. The second person has sickness. The third person gets sleepy. The fourth person starts itching. And then the fifth person, they're just hungry all the time. Right? So these are the 5 symptoms, right? The doctor has given us all the same medication. One of us is laughing all the time. The other person is sick all the time. One person is sleepy all the time. Another person just itches all the time. And finally, we have somebody who's just hungry all the time. The doctor who gave us this medication is observing us to see how we are responding to the medication, to understand what dosages he can offer to other people. And then he can also give a symptoms chart to anybody else he decides to give this particular medication to. And he can say, hey, these are the known symptoms so far. Outside of that, we haven't found anything. Anybody on this symptom spectrum, because everybody in our generation likes the word spectrum, anybody on here that has a symptom, nobody is doing any better than anybody. Nobody is doing any worse than anybody. It's all perception. Would you rather have laughter than sickness? Absolutely. Would you rather be sleepy than itching? Absolutely. Would you rather be hungry than sick? Absolutely. So there are symptoms that we look at and we say to ourselves, well, this ain't really that bad. So because this one isn't that bad, this isn't really a horrible symptom. That's how society looks at things. We say, well, that's not that bad. So that can't be that big of a deal. Or being sleepy, oh, that ain't horrible. That ain't as bad as being sick. So this one really ain't a symptom anymore. See, that's the lie. Now, when we translate this exact same thinking and this exact same analogy over to Christ, to sinful living, right? And the prescription that the doctor has given, and in this case, best believe the doctor is the enemy, the devil. The devil has given us perversion. Perversion is the prescription that the devil has given to us. And now that he's given us perversion, some people over here struggle with pornography. Some people here struggle with masturbation. Some people here struggle with adultery or fornication. Some people here struggle with homosexuality. And then some struggle with transgenderism. So I want you guys to take a look at this stuff. And this is why knowing how to think is so important. When you know how to think, you can begin to connect dots. And once you connect the dots, you can then decide what type of person you are. Because once you connect the dots, you say, oh my goodness, I see why this makes sense now. But I don't like it because I want this to be my identity. When it's not your identity, it is simply a symptom of a prescription or a drug that was given to you by somebody who does not care for you. So again, in society, we look and we say, well, everybody watches porn, so porn ain't that big a deal. Pornhub getting 96 million hits a week. That ain't that big a deal. Well, everybody masturbates. Masturbation is healthy. Masturbation ain't no big deal. It's healthy. And fornication, people fornicate. People fornicate all the time. Fornication ain't no big deal. You love somebody, you have sex with them. That's what you do. But then there are some of us who say that homosexuality, that's the bad one. And this is what people get on me about. Gee, you're a homophobe. Or that we look at transgenderism and we say, oh, transgenderism, that's a bad one. And we could go a step down the line and go on to pedophilia, but that ain't what this video is about. So we look at these other lifestyles and we say, okay, these are the bad ones. These are the symptoms that nobody wants. But we forget to realize that we're all struggling with a symptom of perversion. So when I talk about this stuff, I'm not pinpointing anybody. What I'm simply saying is this. These two lifestyles here have gotten to a space where people are celebrating the perversion. For centuries, we've allowed masturbation, we've allowed adultery and fornication to just take place in society, especially for men. I went to a church where I heard a story about a church where the pastor was having sex with a few of the members. And what you ultimately begin to find out is this is prevalent in a lot of churches. And because people have made it okay for the pastor to commit adultery, we don't have a leg to stand on when it comes to homosexuality or transgenderism. Because we can't even hold men accountable in the church. This is why people don't want to be in Christ. Because they say we're doing the same things that we condemn in the world of. It's one thing to know that you have a struggle and to talk free. I've talked about what I've struggled with for the last decade. I have went from a single man into a relationship, into marriage. And I'm still willing to admit the places that I struggle. But I'm never going to ever get to a space where I'm trying to make the sinful struggle that I have okay. It's not okay. And anybody that's trying to pretend that it is okay, or anybody that's trying to support a lifestyle of sinful living, is not a brother and a sister that you need in your life. And they're dang sure not a brother and sister in Christ. As Christians, we can have a struggle and not promote a struggle. We can have a struggle and not tell our brothers or our sisters that what they're struggling with is sinful is okay. It's not okay. I'm going to continue to love you. I'm going to continue to press. But I'm never going to allow you to get to a space where you feel so comfortable doing what you do around me that it begins to pull me into your bullcrap. We have to begin to look at life the way that life really is happening. I don't hate gay people. I don't hate trans people. I hate that they're trying to push that agenda on kids. When we were kids, my mama wouldn't let me watch BET because she said the same thing. This pornographic nature, this struggle with fornication, they're trying to push all of this stuff onto you. It's my job to put a fence around you and protect you. I understand why she did that now. So for the people that saying I'm homophobic or transphobic, I ain't none of that. All I'm saying to y'all is, look, y'all got the same level of perversion that we all got. Porn, masturbation, fornication, adultery, homosexuality, transgenderism. You're no different than anybody else. These are all symptoms of perversion. Don't try to normalize your symptom. And don't look at the symptoms that we've normalized. Well, hold on. Let me say this to you. Logically, I understand how you can say, well, y'all have allowed people to watch porn and fornicate forever. Y'all ain't said nothing to them. Now that we want to take it to our step, now that we've arrived at a new symptom, a crazier symptom in the eyes of society, a symptom that's a little more taboo, y'all want to come for us now. So in that regard, I apologize to you because we should have came for some other people a long time ago. But because we have allowed these things to slide, and we've allowed these people to slide, and we've allowed these people to stay in positions, or like our society says, in positions of power, without any correction or sitting their monkey butts down, we've opened the floodgates for any and every type of perversion to enter into our society and have no grounds to be corrected. Because now when you correct somebody, the first thing they want to say is you're being judgmental or you're the worst kind of Christian there is. When the truth of the matter is that we should have been standing against all of this all along. Y'all be blessed.